After you complete Step 7 in Lufel's Business Plan EX, you get to choose one of these 4 personas. In this video, we are going to talk about each of them and then see which one you should pick. The general rule of thumb is to own just every single persona. If you don't have the persona, you can just grab it. But if you want to go into more specific, or if you really want to go for dupes, then I will also talk about it in this video. Because there is one persona that I highly recommend to max overclock, which I think most of you already know who it is. It's someone that I use very often in my rotations. But before that, we go through by order. Let's go with Yoshitsune first. Yoshitsune is probably the best DPS persona for Wonder, but even then you don't really use Wonder as DPS much. But Asotobi hits pretty decent, and then you give it like a bunch of like passives here to increase damage. Mine is like kind of built already, not fully built, but has all the required passive, but just not at the max level. So the way Yoshitsune works is, at the start of battle, you'll gain this Gorilla stack. And then when you do damage with the signature skill, so Asotobi, you have 40% chance to gain the Gorilla stack. And if I remember correctly, I think it's every hit is a chance of triggering. Then increase 7% attack for each stack for 2 turns, then stack out 8 times. And then if you have max stacks, you increase crit rate. Basically just damage buff from the passive. Then when you get to Overclock 2, you increase your chance, increase the stacks you get, increase attack. Then again, Overclock 3, you get even more buffs. I don't exactly recommend Yoshitsune. You will probably only use him when Wonder Guild Boss comes back. If not, you're not going to use him much, because you're probably just going to use other AoE DPS anyways, right? The limited ones. So I wouldn't exactly go for him. The next persona is Sandalphon. Sandalphon is a guardian persona. His or her main job is to give shield. But the passive is that when Sandalphon is equipped and is used like on the field, shielded allies get more defense. But if Sandalphon is not on the field, but at the backing, you know, at the like you equip it but you're not using it, then it's like a passive, battle passive thing where shielded allies will still get defense but a bit less than compared to when you're equipping Sandalphon and using her. And then also will decrease the HP cost of unique skill, which is the shield. Just in case you don't know, this skill actually uses HP instead of SP. It's an okay skill, I guess. I would definitely put her better than King Frost, because unlike King Frost, she actually does buff a bit of like damage. I don't think King Frost does, it's mostly just shielding. And then the Sandalphon also has like the battle passive thing, so if you're running Fox, you could just put her in the party and you get a free buff without even using her. If you're not a Fox, her value is a bit lower, but if you really need sustain, she's not a bad pick. Then for Overclock, obviously you have more defenses and stuff. And for passive, honestly, you don't really need to build her at all, because most of the time you're either gonna use the shield, or you're gonna put her at the back of the party to get the passive. Next persona is Vishnu. This is the persona that I highly recommend to max overclock. Vishnu is a very good persona, probably top 3 in the game. The reason why it's good is because of defense debuff. So let's just look at the passive, the overclock first. So you increase wind sweep accuracy, so increase your chance of inflicting wind sweep. Then you increase damage to wind sweep foes. Then when you inflict or reset wind sweep, you decrease the target's defense by 32% for 2 turns. 32% is already more than max overclock norm, though it's not as high as General 6 mark. But if you get to max overclock, you do get to 48%. The only thing that kind of sucks is that at overclock 2, you do not get any defense debuff increase, so it's still 32%. So you need to go to max overclock for it to go from 32 to 48, which I recommend. 48% is a good amount, that's higher than Yano 6 mark, and it's also for 2 turns. And unlike Yano 6, Vishnu can AoE debuff if you have Margarudai, which is something I use very often in my rotations because it's very good. And then to maximize the chances of inflicting wind sweep, if wind sweep boosts ambient 8 for accuracy when you rain, then accuracy boost. The last passive can have some sort of attack or wind buff to buff the damage. Actually, this one I think he learns naturally. I highly recommend getting Overclock Vishnu. And the nice thing about the skill 1 here, the signature skill, is that it's pretty much a guarantee wind sweep, which means that it's pretty much guarantee debuff, because you also get like buff from the overclock, right? You increase wind sweep accuracy, and also the signature skill also increases the wind damage taken. So he will be quite useful for Mont, cross-scale Mont, or a wind team in general. But again, you can use him outside a wind team as long as you need defense debuff. Or even a Queen team, also not bad, because you can inflict ailments for Queen, or any other single target, or even AoE, which I often use. The last persona of choice is Shiva. Shiva is mostly gonna be for Haru only. You won't really see him outside of Haru team, because the buffs are like Haru specific. But let's go through the overclock. So you have this wisdom thing, which you gain every single turn. Once you have 3 stacks, you can activate all of the debuffs here. So you need to wait until turn 3 and turn 6 to use the signature skill. So first stack is just a damage buff to Shiva himself. At 2 stacks is a defense debuff by 30% for 1 turn. Then at 3 stacks is a crit taken rate by 12%. These buffs are actually not bad, but the problem with Shiva is that the debuffs only last for 1 turn, which is kinda useless honestly. If it's 2 turns, he will be used more. The thing is, I found that Shiva is not the best in slot for Haru team all the time, because a combination of like Revolution from Dionysus and a max overclock Vishnu Garuda is better than a singular Dance of Destruction from Shiva. It's more so for SOS, because SOS doesn't have any multipliers for Wonder DPS. For SOS, you can just completely not use Shiva at all. For Guild Boss, it's a bit different, because Wonder's damage does get multiplied. Like turn 3 is 1.5 times, right? Turn 6 is 2 times. So Shiva is a bit more useful there. And for higher awareness Haru, you probably don't even use Shiva at all, because the crit rate is gonna overcap. And the problem is that this crit rate is only for 1 turn. So think of it like this. If let's say your Haru is 88% crit rate, which means that on turn 1 and 2, she will have 88% crit rate, and only turn 3, she will have 100% crit rate because of Shiva. But instead of this, why don't you just make Haru's crit rate 100% for every turn? Like, you get what I mean, right? I just don't like that it's only 1 turn. It's a different story if it's 2 turns, but 1 turn is just not useful, unfortunately. If you don't care about like min-maxing or you're too lazy to test, then you can just use Shiva. It's not wrong to use him, it's just that other persona combinations are better than using Shiva sometimes. As for how you pick him, you mostly just give him like some sort of damage boost so that he can do a bit more damage from the signature skill to get a bit more points. So which persona would I choose? So Vishnu is the one that I have max overclock. The others I do not have. If I have to choose one, it's probably gonna be between Yoshitsune or Shiva. Not Sandalphon, because Sandalphon is only useful for Fox team, and honestly Fox himself isn't like that strong of a character, so I don't think it's super worth to invest in him. Yoshitsune also a little bit difficult because only really useful for Wonder Boss. Shiva, like I already said, has some problems with the 1 turn duration of the debuffs, but he is still used sometimes. So I think I might end up going for Shiva. But if you are everything at like overclock 1 or something, I do recommend to just dupe Vishnu to max, because Vishnu is very good.